Greetings, Generals, and welcome to another Lost Souls video. This one's going to be a bit longer, so nestle down, get out your paints, and have a listen. Today we will be talking about something a little different, yet wholly important. Today's episode is titled, How to Win Lost Souls, a Study in Practical Tournament Competition. Lost Souls, like every GT or Grand Tournament, features 3 distinct areas of competition and will be awarding players that both do well in each as well as do well on the whole. We're going to take a look at these 3 fields of competition, discuss the ways to succeed and fail in each, and then look at winning the tournament's overall award. So, without further ado, I present How to Win Lost Souls. The first of our 3 pieces in this grand tournament formula is sportsmanship. First, let's talk about what sportsmanship is. Sportsmanship is more than just being nice. Many tournaments use sportsmanship as a way to encourage players to be professional about getting their registration fees and lists in on time as well. A tournament organizer needs those funds to secure prizes, trophies, and a venue for the tournament, and generally their hands are tied until payments come in. If lists are turned in late, that gives the tournament organizer less time to get back to you if there's an error. For this, the first step in winning Lost Souls is not taking that 20 sportsmanship point penalty for being late on your registration and list. The maximum points for the tournament is 440, meaning that you're losing about 5% of your maximum points right away by turning in late. The remainder of your sportsmanship score comes from 3 sources: starting score, the sportsmanship questionnaires, and favorite opponents' votes. Every player starts with 50 free sportsmanship points. That's almost 10% of the maximum score. There are a few ways to lose these points though, so another important step in winning Lost Souls is avoiding these penalties: late entry, bad game votes, and cheating. Honestly, there's no reason anyone should lose points from this free pool. This brings us to the sportsmanship questionnaire. Many tournaments have them as a way of judging sportsmanship. Sportsmanship is defined as fair play, respect for others and opponents, and polite behavior by someone who is competing in a sport or competition. I mean, I'm up for some of that. Pass me a big ol' hunk of fair play, respect, and politeness. Am I right? Let's look at the Lost Souls questionnaire. It's composed of 5 questions, each worth 10 points. You fill out 1 questionnaire each round, so 1 for each opponent. They are all yes or no questions, with only 2 questions that could be considered subjective. So the first question: was your opponent on time to start the game? That's easy. Either they were or they were not. Each round only has so much time, and if you don't get to finish your game, or the TO is late announcing the next round because your opponent showed up late, that's not cool. Second question: did your opponent have all of his templates, dice, rulebooks, etc.? That's another easy question. No one likes feeling like maybe they were being cheated by someone who is not using the correct scatter or artillery dice, or having to wait on a game as their opponent runs around the gaming hall asking clubmates for a flame template. Being prepared with everything your army needs is polite and simple. Basically free sportsmanship points. Third question: did your opponent end the game on time? Slow playing sucks. It's not good strategy, it's not cool, it's unfair to your opponent. Given, sometimes, games are long, or you have to wait for a TO to answer a rules question, but when you are facing a non-moving gun line and they are purposefully taking an hour per turn, that's not fair play as sportsmanship is defined as. Fourth question: were all rules disputes solved quickly and politely? Most little things in Warhammer, especially since Games Workshop for some reason has stopped doing FAQs, can be solved with a simple roll of a d6. This is a tournament, however, and the TO understands that both sides want the ruling in their favor. That doesn't mean that it has to get ugly, and a fight over a silly rule can quickly ruin someone's game. Last question: would you like to play this opponent and his list again? Subjective? Yes. Is that fair? You betcha. A good player will look at all of their scores at the end of a tournament and reflect on what their weaknesses are and how to improve them. This can be your attitude. I, for one, am super hard on myself when I'm losing, and opponents can take that as me being mad at them. As such, when I see a low sports score from a tourney, I step back to remind myself that this is a game, and I need to enjoy my hobby, not beat myself up about it. Looking at this, you can pull 5 key things away from the questionnaire. Start on time. End on time. Have your stuff. Don't be a dick. And really, no, don't be a dick. The last bit of sportsmanship points comes from favorite opponent votes. The player with the most votes gets 20 bonus sports points, and the player with the second most gets 10. Only favorite opponent votes are used, or they're only used for the sportsmanship award. But your sportsmanship score is used in both best general and best overall. Again, these are all really simple things that should be given, and a way that you can earn free points towards best overall. Some people may argue that having subjective questions such as "Did you enjoy your game?" does not belong in a competitive environment. But honestly, if you're not enjoying your time here, and don't think anyone else should, you probably didn't need to travel all the way for a tournament. I mean, there's lots of unenjoyable things to do at home. You could do the dishes, you could pick up dog poop, you could watch political ads during election time. You know? Alright, so that's our first of the scoring trifecta, which can be summed up as being polite to your opponent and the TOs. Next, let's talk about paint and appearance. Again, grand tournaments differ from the little tourneys in that you are competing in 3 different categories. One of these is always paint or appearance. How this is judged can be different. Some do it just by opinion of the judges, and others by a painting rubric. Lost Souls will be using a rubric, as that lets players know ahead of time what their score may be. Paint is a huge key part in winning Lost Souls because, with the exception of those 50 free sportsmanship points, it's the only points you know you will have going into the tournament. So why not set yourself up for success? Painting is a skill to be worked on, and just like learning the game, you'll get better with practice. I want to show you guys something. Look at this ugly bastard. One of the first pieces I ever painted. The paint's caked on, there's no shading. I think I was trying to do some sort of war paint on his face that looks kind of like the Joker. I don't know. There's no conversions, and this wasn't even my first piece. I finished an army, 3-color minimum, and went to a tourney. My paint score tanked. I mean, I had paint, so it wasn't awful, but it definitely held me back. So I practiced. I painted and I learned from people who are still much, much better than I, and now my pieces look like this. Paint is a huge part of this hobby. Everyone loves seeing cool minis, and we want to reward those that put the time and effort into developing that aspect. Let's take a look at the painting rubric. So the first bit is a tiered score. Basically, is your army, and by that we mean the entire army, summons included, painted? No? Well, that means that you don't have a base paint score. Yes, it's painted, but it's obviously from a few different collections. That's 30 points. And yep, the army is fully painted and matching. That's 60 points. That's half the rubric right there. No attention to detail, no crazy conversions, just 60 points. That's more than 1/8 of the max tournament score for having everything painted and matching. Then comes the fine details. I won't go into everything here, but you can find the painting rubric on the Lost Souls website, and you can earn up to 40 more points through things like conversions, display boards, shading, freehand work, etc. Finally, first best paint and second best paint get bonus points, just like the best and second best sportsman awards. So that's paint. A maximum of 100 points that you can go into the tourney already knowing that you have, and another 20 possible if it's the best. Think of it this way. Even just having your army fully painted and matching is worth 50% of the paint category. It's better than coming into the tournament with the maximum claim points, or the maximum scenario points. It's work that you as a player can invest at home right now, not right when you're at the tournament. You have no idea what lists you're going to face, or if your mage is going to suck itself into hell in turn 1, or if your cannon's going to explode, but you know you can have a foundation of points that cannot be lost on a whim. And for the new players with the Joker-faced skinks, ask! I remember a tourney I went to where I tabled my opponent in 3 turns using a suboptimal list, and in that time, before the rounds, we talked and helped each other become better generals. We were both playing the same army, so he picked my brain for tactics and list builds, and his painting was so far beyond mine that all I could do was stare at them. Feathering horns. I still cannot feather horns no matter how many times I ask this guy. But ask. Good painters are always willing to share tips and tricks, just like good generals can help critique your lists and strategies. Finally, we come to Battle and Best General. This is the category that most people spend their time thinking about. How should I build my list? What is the army attendance breakdown like? What are the scenarios? And all of these are great and valid questions. Battle is the heaviest weighted score in Lost Souls, as well as in most grand tournaments. A maximum of 200 points can be earned in battle. Of these, 100 points are in victory points, using a 0 to 20 scale. Preparing for this is like playing any game. What wins? What wins hard? But the other 100 points are in scenario and claim points. And that's where you need to start thinking about generalship and gameplay, as well as your list building. The issue with battle scores is, and always has been, that it's a game of dice. Your strategy may go out the window with one bad roll, or your opponent could get really lucky many, many times. Bertonia. You also have no idea of matchups. Player A could waltz over lists that his counters easily, while player B has to boot slog his monsters through every cannon in the tournament. A general's skill is determined at how well they can cope with all of these things. As far as how to win Lost Souls, read the scenarios and have a plan for each one. Learn the rules for the Scions and Arbiters, and make sure that you have enough claim. There are so many points to be earned in this tournament and battle. Don't let a web meta list keep you from scoring those claim and scenario points. So finally we come down to the overall award. In order to win this prestigious award, you need to excel in all 3 areas. You need to earn all of the sportsmanship points you can by paying and turning in your list on time, as well as having your supplies with you and playing in a timely manner. You need to have spent some time preparing by getting your army painted to the 60-point level, and beyond for good measure, and play to your strengths and to the scenarios. Best overall demonstrates a player who took all 3 of these categories into consideration and attacked the tournament from every side. I hope you all enjoyed this look at grand tournaments and Lost Souls. Best of luck winning, and may the dice be always in your favor.